I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, you know, that or...
Who is the common man? Some may argue that the common man serves his country, is hardworking and accepts diversity, and others will retort that the common man was once promising, had a bright future but was wronged by those towering him in the hierarchy. And whichever side you agree with, if any at all, it's interesting to note that the Coen brothers have often had their lead characters as the common man, someone who's flawed, perhaps not special in any spectacular way, but represents the more human and original side of life. Stripping away any cliched artificiality from their protagonists, the Coens write very nuanced yet somewhat simple lead characters, and they don't always have to be men. In fact, the Coens tend to give a voice to those without one in society, and that's what sets their work apart from the majority of Hollywood's produce. I want to look at 3 films in particular, since I feel that these 3 in isolation can illuminate the rest of the Coens' extensive filmography. The 3 films in question are Fargo, The Big Lebowski, and Barton Fink, all of which are pre-millennium films, the 90s in fact. And all 3 have one unifying similarity: the common man or woman, in regards to Fargo, is given power. They are taken away from their common lives and put into extraordinary situations where people try to control and manipulate them.
If your opinion mattered, I guess I'd resign and let you run the studio. Well, it doesn't, and you won't.
Yet they rise as unlikely heroes in the end, both literally and metaphorically. But I think that it's apt to start with Fargo, since the feeling of day-to-day normality is littered throughout this film. The Coens themselves grew up not too far from Fargo, so the setting and characters strike close to home. They're written with genuine compassion. And now the brothers came under mass scrutiny from the Minnesotan community after their portrayal of Fargo as a somewhat dim-witted community. Yet what these critics disregarded was the fact that this community in the film saw heroine rise from nothing. In fact, the Coens were championing simplicity, championing the normal human being who isn't anything special. In fact, to go even deeper, Marge Gunderson is the precise archetype of the common man or woman. She's hardworking and devoted to her family, and the Coens portray all of this with wit and humour. We understand her devotion to work and family because she, as the police officer, is embroiled in this zany crime whilst pregnant. And she isn't this uber ripped character gleaming with intelligent detective skills. She just kinda has a hunch about things, and she follows that through with hard work and devotion. She ends the film as the heroine, saving the town of Fargo and single-handedly solving its biggest ever crime. She was plucked out of a common and mundane setting and thrown into something more extraordinary, where, ironically enough, her normality is what gave her the edge. What's also excellent about this is that throughout the film, her superiors persist on throwing her off the case. They're happy to just let it slide, but her own persistence sees her not only solve the crime, but also destroy patriarchy. All of these traits I mentioned at the start of the video are something that a section of people would describe as genuine. Yet there was the other side, right? What if the common man was once touted to be great but ruined by hierarchy? The Coens masterfully balanced Marge's sweet commonness with Jerry Lundegaard's distasteful commonness. His constant pursuit of the American dream invariably leads to him committing a horrible crime. And the Coens portray him in an odious manner, sure, yet he's still shown to be the common man, someone who was once regarded as a potentially elite salesman, but turned out to be just your average Joe. The Coens really nail that duality of how the common man or woman can go down 2 paths, Marge's or Jerry's. You can either become disenchanted and let it eat away at you, or you embrace it and hope to one day do something special. And it's ironic too, since Marge's extraordinary achievement is something that Jerry has always longed for. Her more simplistic style of thinking, away from the shackles of the American dream, is what leads to her victory as an unlikely hero. They do a great job of empowering the common person. They could have written Marge as a bumbling idiot since she is simple and average, yet she is never a cliche or a fool. And now we sidestep to Barton Fink, a film that portrays the hurt side of the common man rather than celebrate it, and it's perhaps a more powerful portrayal too.
I guess I write about people like you. The average working stiff, the common man.
The titular character is a New York playwright living in the 40s. His plays are literally about the common man's struggle and strife. He becomes such a success that he is approached by the giant that is Hollywood, and this is where the common man's talent and dreams are quashed by hierarchy. He is quickly told to write a script for a wrestling film, something totally alien to a man who simply wants to write about humanity.
Now, people are going to say to you, Wallace Beery, wrestling, it's a B picture. You tell them, bullshit!
As his creativity hits a halt, his life spirals out of control. He is destroyed mentally, and looks as though he is deteriorating as the film grows older in runtime. It's an interesting exploration by the Coens, since they both wrote it together, and it actually injects more of their life into it than given credit. Fink is a Jewish man, pointed out obviously through his hair and the way he carries himself, and the Coens themselves are Jewish too, and I think that's more important than people give credit to, particularly when following this idea of the common man. The Coens didn't accidentally choose the 40s as their setting, and they also didn't accidentally write a scene where a Jewish man is trapped in a burning building, metaphorical or not. The common Jewish man in the 40s either lived in fear or suffered at the hands of Nazis, and while it's a stretch to say that the Coens are alluding to Hollywood as emblems of Nazism, it's fair to say that a comparison of the destruction of the common Jewish man is evident. Now let's liven things up with The Big Lebowski. This wacky and banal noir comedy presents to the audience arguably the Coens' most common protagonist, the Dude. In fact, the Dude is so common that his nickname is literally The Dude.
Dude, also dude. You know, dude, dude.
Yeah.
He's just your average guy who wants to bowl and get high. It doesn't get more complicated than that, and when he gets dragged into a conspiracy regarding a nymphomaniac and a lot of money, the blasé and laid back common attitude is what sees him emerge as the victor when the credits roll. It's a fun little comparison between this film and Fargo, where two simplistic characters are dragged into a complex ball of yarn, yet through their simplicity come out on top. Is the Dude hard-working or devoted like Marge? No. Has his once talent been destroyed by hierarchy? No. Then how on earth is he the common man, you ask? He's the hypothetical average man, nobody special, and certainly doesn't try to be. He's just happy going about his day-to-day life, and I think it's excellent that this version of the common man has been explored by the Coens, because at the end of the film, the mystery he was embroiled in sees this simplistic and hilariously aloof man reign supreme. It's an interesting way in which the Coens empower simplicity and the average human being.
Are you
Walter, he peed on my rug.
Through these three films, the rest of the Coens' filmography is illuminated drastically. Inside Llewyn Davis, The Hudsucker Proxy, Burn After Reading, No Country for Old Men, the list goes on. All of these films have common characters dealing with somewhat extraordinary circumstances. In a time where the film industry is obsessed with creating fake, flawed characters, or ones that are simply intangible and robotic, I think it's admirable that the Coens champion simplicity and normality above all else.